Well, let me tell you something, brother.
Snort, snort, snort.
Hogan.
Drip, snort, snort.
I got the drip. Go.
Jasper, what was that? What was that noise? I heard a noise. What were you doing in there? Do I have to check? What happened? He made a noise in the other room. I'm going to check and see what he did. What did you do? What did you do in here?
DSP tries it, leaving his audience with a full minute of dead air. But luckily for all of you, I'm not going to do that to you, and I'm just going to skip to when he comes back. But it's segments like these that add up to make his content as bad as it actually is.
I cannot win. I cannot win.
Why this time, DSP? Is it the dropped inputs or the lag? Or is it because life is just pattern playing, and for some reason you can't pick up on the pattern?
I can't. We now have broken blinds in every single room upstairs. This room, the room over there, and the bedroom. They're all broken. In the bedroom, the problem is that the thing that holds together, that you pull to open and close the blinds, has broken apart. And so all the strands go loose, and I can rebuild it, but there's no way to really permanently have it hold together. Once it's split, it basically never properly goes back together again. So every once in a while, the whole thing just explodes, and I have to try to rebuild it again. So they work, but they're just annoying to use.
I gotta press X to doubt that there's no way to hold it together in a more permanent style. But even if that is the case, it's completely unacceptable that he just lets it go on like this. But as we'll soon come to find out, this is the least of his problems, just the blinds in the one room.
These don't work at all, okay? The piece that's inside is ripped out, so now when you pull the cord, there's nothing to rotate on. It just doesn't go up and down. So these blinds are permanently down no matter what. If I pull them up, they'll never come down again, okay? So I just leave them down all the time.
And these blinds that he's talking about now were the ones that he was talking about replacing and putting up a curtain rod instead, and getting some sort of blackout curtains. But if you recall the other day when he talked about it, he was talking about having somebody else come in and put in the curtain rod because he doesn't know how. As if putting in a curtain rod isn't something that literally everybody can do. It's as simple as buying a curtain rod off Amazon if you'd like to, because we know that you love using Amazon, and putting a couple of screws in the wall to hold it on there and putting a curtain on it. That's it. That's the entire process. And I can tell you this because shortly after he mentioned it, I actually went out of my way to purchase a curtain rod and some curtains and put up curtains in my bedroom. I had been meaning to do it for a while because I didn't like the curtains and I didn't like the curtain rod itself. And after hearing DSP complain about it, I was like, I'm gonna strive to be better than DSP. I'm gonna do it to him. But everybody knows that DSP is a mark and they can see him coming from a mile away. So of course you would probably get scammed out of at least $300 to put up one curtain rod in that room. And he would think that that's acceptable and he would justify that purchase in his head and try and explain to his audience that it had to be that way. That he totally didn't waste a bunch of money because he's too lazy to figure out how to do basic home maintenance tasks. Just like getting the oil changed on his BMW or replacing the spark plugs on his current car. The dude can't be bothered to look up anything and figure out how to do it for himself. He'd rather just pay quadruple the price to get it done as long as he doesn't have to do it.
He kept going behind the blinds in that room to peek out and look at the neighborhood. And as doing that, apparently he got caught in them and pulled them, and he snapped all the wire off of the top of the blind on the left-hand side. So now the left-hand side blinds don't connect to the top anymore, and they're sagging.
And Jasper really just played himself here because at this rate, he's never going to get that blood work done. We've got to replace all of these blinds before he ever gets that blood work. Kind of seems like Jasper's trying to take himself out at this point. That poor cat didn't deserve that. We need justice for Jasper, for sure.
So we literally have no functional blinds. Well, the blinds in the bedroom are functional. In both of these offices, the blinds are not functional now. And before you guys say, well, why don't you just fix them? Because money, right? They're expensive. When I had these installed in 2014, which was almost a decade ago, they cost hundreds and hundreds of dollars per blind because they have to measure the size of your window, custom cut, custom install. It's very expensive, okay?
Why is it every time that DSP has a problem, it's always a custom problem to DSP that no one else could ever understand or relate to? See, where you guys could just fix a problem and take care of it in a timely manner, I actually have a custom problem, so you wouldn't understand whatsoever. He's really got main character syndrome so bad he thinks that every single problem that he's ever encountered is unique to him and nobody else gets it. DSP, there's a ton of solutions to this problem, both temporary and permanent, and you refuse to do any of them because you'd rather just live in this dilapidated house. How the HOA hasn't gotten involved in the absolute state of the Snort Fort is way beyond me. His neighbors have to hate him as well because it's not just the interior of his house that's falling apart, it's part of the exterior as well. Because I'm sure you can see the holes that are in the screens on his windows from the street. I'm sure his bug infestation is creating problems for his neighbors. I'm sure that you can see the piles of garbage and styrofoam in the garage when they go to open the garage when they leave. And I have no idea how it's HOA approved to have a window AC unit. I've never heard of that in my life. But hey, if DSP wants to live in absolute squalor, if he wants to live in this pig pen that he's created, I say let him. The problem, unfortunately, is that Jasper doesn't get a say in the state of the house. And he definitely doesn't deserve breathing in all that mold that's probably covering the house by now.
In my house right now, I have multiple broken things. I have a bathroom that doesn't work, a busted shower with all rust in the wall, dripping fucking shower head, you know, all cracked, fucked up tiles and all kinds of shit. The whole shower needs to basically be torn out and redone.
And that's why I brought up the mold specifically, because I would imagine that if you have rust in your walls, you probably have a leak somewhere, and that leak creates moisture, which creates mold. So I wouldn't be surprised if DSP's got mold all over his house and his walls. No wonder his allergies have been acting up. No wonder he's perpetually sick at this point. The dude's breathing in constant mold. That's just my guess. I'm only assuming based on what he's telling me, but I think it's a fairly safe assumption. But you would think that instead of spending all that money on gin at Total Wine or pulling all those Hogans on WWE champions, he would have fixed his bathroom by now. It's been broken for literal years. I just don't see how it's viable to have actual utilities that you can't use when you should be able to use them. Like, that was taken into consideration when you were looking at houses. You probably saw it had 2 functional bathrooms and thought, yes, I'm willing to pay X amount of money because it has 2 functional bathrooms. And now you're still paying that same amount that you were willing to pay when it had 2 bathrooms to only have 1 bathroom.
I have a toilet that doesn't work. I have a toilet that has not worked in like 4 years. It's all fucked up. All right. I have a dishwasher that broke downstairs last fall. I haven't replaced it.
He's brought up multiple times that he's interested in remortgaging his house for whatever reason. I don't think that that's a good idea, but go off, DSP. And yeah, maybe due to the housing market situation, his house has appreciated in value somewhat. But it definitely can't be a whole lot, if any at all, given the state of the house itself. The second that somebody comes into that house and realizes that there's an entire bathroom that's going to need to be redone to be usable whatsoever, it's going to depreciate quick. And speaking of the dishwasher, that's probably why he gets so much DoorDash, or he uses all of those paper plates like he does. I mean, aside from just being lazy, obviously. But after all of this time of getting DoorDash and buying paper plates to make up for the fact that you can't actually do your dishes, which you could totally just do them by hand, you bozo, you probably could have saved up that money and actually replaced your dishwasher. But of course, that's some sort of long-form planning. And the only thing that DSP can think about long-form is his schedule. Other than that, dude's living day-to-day for some reason. There's a 41-year-old man living day-to-day like a child.
Every time that I think I'm getting ahead, and I'm in a situation where I think that I can like fix stuff, something happens. Like this year, and we're talking a little bit about this on Thursday during the Thanksgiving special, how, you know, I had ups and downs this year. This year, I had a tire stolen off my car.
And we've discussed this recently as well. I'm not personally buying that. If you ask me, it looks like Kat got a flat and destroyed the rim pulling into that parking lot, and that nobody actually stole it. But because she did so much damage to the actual wheel itself, he had to get a whole new tire assembly, as he kept calling it.
I had multiple personal things, some medical and some other things happen behind the scenes. And it's like every time I think that I'm getting ahead and I'm going to have some money to do something, it gets taken from me.
And I'm sure that Team Health's ears just perked up a little bit. This is that mystery medical situation that he's been having going on behind the scenes, I believe. That, or he's just really hounding on that sickness that he's had for the past month and saying that it's a medical problem. I wouldn't be surprised if it was the latter, but it's probably that mystery behind the scenes thing. Which, DSP, if you're not interested in talking about it and you're not interested in disclosing the information, then don't bring it up, because all it leads to is speculation. But maybe that's the whole point. Maybe it's just bait to get the trolls to talk about some sort of conspiracy theory with his health so that he can totally dunk on the trolls. As if any of his detractors actually give a shit whether or not he dunks on somebody's wild conspiracy theory.
So I got all this stuff broken in the house. I can't fix any of it. You know, it just has to sit there broken. And I just, oh well, Don't use it. Like, these blinds have been broken since earlier this year. Just leave them broken. What else am I going to do? I can't, you know, what's the point of dumping money into it, you know?
Well, hopefully the point would be to fix them. I don't know what kind of question that really is. Why would I put money into something to fix it? Well, probably so that you can use it again, DSP. That's what it's in the house for. I mean, it would probably even be a better solution if you ripped the blinds off of the wall and replaced it with a bed sheet that you could move out of the way when you wanted light in and then put back in place when you wanted the light gone. Because that's more functional than broken blinds at this point. Maybe that's a worse look. Maybe visually that's not nearly as appealing as broken blinds, but it's about the functionality of the utility, DSP. But again, it doesn't have to be a hole to do. If he wanted to put up that curtain rod, it wouldn't cost him pretty much anything, and he would be able to do it by himself. He's just too lazy and dense.
Well, in fact, at this point, even if I had money, I don't even know what I would fix first. The broken toilet, the broken dishwasher, the blinds, the bathroom is too expensive because I need to redo the bathroom essentially. Like, it's all fucked up. They have to rip that shower out, fix all the piping in the wall, and do all. That's like a $10,000 project. I don't have that money.
Now, I've never had any sort of bathroom style procedure like that, but I'd love to see his source for thinking that it's $10,000 to get all of that done. Not that I don't think that that number could be accurate, but I just don't believe anything that DSP says, period. Because he's been known to revise history and exaggerate points to fit his narrative. Maybe it's not $10,000, maybe it's only 8 or 9, you know, but then he adds that extra couple thousand, and all of a sudden it's an unattainable goal that he can just brush off and justify to his audience.
But even like those small things, even if I had the money, I don't even know what I would do next. I don't even know what to, you know. But this is stuff that happens when you're got a house and you're an adult. All this shit happens, and what can you do, right?
Yes, DSP, you're actually right for once. Things in a home do tend to break over time. But with proper home maintenance, you can prolong the lifespan of these things. You just refuse to do any home maintenance, and then when the thing finally breaks, you also refuse to fix it or replace it whatsoever. You're sitting here asking, oh, what can you do, you know? You could make the money to actually fix the problem is what you could do. That's kind of why most people go to work, so that they can continue to live and operate in the household that they live and operate in, as well as eat and do other things, obviously, but it's also for maintenance purposes. Other household operators that I know don't just throw up their hands and just say, oh, I don't know what to do now, the thing is broken. How about you take care of the thing being broken by either fixing it yourself or replacing it or having someone who is knowledgeable fix it for you? But letting the thing just continuously be broken and unusable isn't really an answer.
'Tis life. So now he's sitting on my floor moping because he broke the blinds. He's moping on the floor right now, Jasper. It's like, well, I mean, you keep jumping behind them, which is fine. I don't mind. But you get snagging and you're pulling on them. What do you think's going to happen, right? Anyway. What can you do? It's not a big deal. That room especially. That room doesn't matter. We barely even use that room for anything. That's not a concern.
Oh, thank God. That room isn't a big deal, guys. They barely even use that room. So everything in there can just be destroyed and forgotten about, and it doesn't matter at all. DSP's not concerned.
I would love to have better blinds in here because for lighting, for the streams and everything, to basically have, you know, like, I was thinking blackout curtains would work maybe? I don't know. I don't know much about them.
Well, DSP, you could do the same thing that everybody else does when they don't know something. You could just look it up. I don't know why you have such an aversion to just looking something up online. It's one of the most basic things to do in the modern age. But you got to appreciate him at least feigning like he cares about his stream enough that he wants to have better lighting. He wants it so bad that he's willing to do absolutely nothing to get it and instead just complain online.
I don't even know if they would fit in this window because, again, this is a window that's a weird size. They would have to maybe, like, custom, you know, measure and cut and install. It probably cost a ton of money.
There it is again, custom everything, custom cut, custom measure, custom install. Notice he said that they would have to do it, not DSP. Because DSP can't be bothered to cut, measure, or install anything. Obviously. Because obviously it's an impossible task for DSP to take a tape measure, measure the window, and go online and order custom-made curtains. If his window really is as strange as he's making it sound. But no, DSP, just hire somebody who's gonna scam you out of a bunch of money, please. I would love to hear that story on the pre-stream.
But the blinds don't even work that well. Even when they were working fine, they don't block the sun that well during hot summer days and stuff. They don't do much at all. So maybe blackout curtains would be a big benefit. I don't know. All right? I don't know.
But instead of actually looking into anything to better his situation, he'd rather just get on stream and sit here and say that he doesn't know. He's just so helpless over the simplest of things. Dude, you're 41 years old and you can't be bothered to Google search a couple of things that would actually improve your household for you. That's just the most embarrassing mentality to have.
Excuse me. How well do blackout curtains work? Do they work well? I'm just curious because I don't know much about them. So maybe I should get like blackout curtains for this office at the very least. It would benefit because then when we film it's dark and I could open them whenever I want, but maybe that makes sense. I don't know. Again, I don't know much about them. Like I think aren't blackout curtains what they put in like hotels? The thick ass curtains that they go, you swing them open and close like this and they kind of overlap a little bit to stop the light, right? Are those blackout curtains?
And it's not even just looking things up on the search engine of your choice. He could actually just look at blackout curtain reviews on the exact same website that he actually works on. He could put that YouTube premium subscription that he pays for to work for once, instead of just using it to watch other streamers so he can complain about them on his pre-stream.
They're legit. Swagonitos says they're legit. What I'm really wondering of, how well do they work for heat? Because in the summer, it would really help if they could cool down the office when, you know, stop the sun from heating the office up. And then also, here's what I'm concerned about. Like right now, because I have blinds, I can open them to get air circulation. With blackout curtains, you'd have to open, but I can't open. If I open during the day, I'd have sun in my face, right? So with the blinds, I can maybe do like a little bit of a crack at least, and then I can get some air in here. And I'm nervous I wouldn't be able to do that if I got blackout curtains.
I've never heard anybody be so picky about a thing that they didn't even intend on actually fixing. I mean, he's sitting here and nitpicking small, minute details that don't actually matter in the grand scheme of things because he's not gonna bother fixing them. Like, he's trying to find solutions to the problems that don't even exist yet because he hasn't fixed the original problem to begin with. Like, how the hell are you gonna worry about trying to leave the galaxy when you can't even get off of the planet, if that makes any sense?
They're good for heat? You think so? They're good for heat for sure. See, that's what I need. Because, man, I don't want to run the air conditioner in here unless I absolutely have to. And I try to hold out as long as I can. But, man, once it starts getting spring and the sun is beating on this office in the afternoon, it gets so effing hot in this room. And I'm trying to have a bunch of electronics run and everything. It's like impossible. It's like torture. Like, fuck, man, I'm sweating my balls off in here.
DSP, we're well aware of this. You made sure to mention it every single day that it was even slightly warm at the beginning of the fall season. Trust me, I'll never forget the weatherman segment that we got every single day on the pre-stream. Shit was absolutely miserable. Like, anybody actually cares about the weather in the area that you live in specifically. It has no effect on the stream other than that you're gonna be complaining about it off and on the entire time. But you were gonna complain about something one way or another, so I guess it doesn't really matter at the end of the day what it is. But that's gonna be the end of today's video. A little on the shorter side, I know. There was another huge begging segment that we could have covered, but I thought that 2 begging videos back to back wouldn't really tickle everybody's fancy. Nonetheless, a big shout out to Snort Hogan for the clip today. I really appreciate it, brother. Thank you, thank you. And of course, a big shout out to all of you guys for watching, especially those of you that have made it to the end. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much. Hopefully, I'll catch all of you guys in the next video, but until then, make sure that you check out other detractor channels and dive deeper into that Snortex.